So I guess before we get back to our cliffhanger, there's a little bit of housekeeping. I know that I threw it in chat, but I just wanted to say it again. Since we've had a session to play with our characters and use them, did anyone want to change their selected move from their playbook or change their ratings up?
Actually, hold on a second, let me check.
No, but I wish I could pick more moves as I level up.
I think that's a thing, isn't it?
Under improvements on the bottom, it gives you options, and you can just check them.
Oh shit! I can take other monstrous moves. That's awesome. I look forward to leveling up and taking some of the other monstrous moves.
Yeah, it's so when we solve the mystery, which I'm 90% certain is going to happen today, we ask a bunch of questions at the end and get experience based on the answer to that. And then I forget what the threshold is to leveling up. I think it's 7.
I think it's
at that
5.
point, you get more stuff.
5.
Oh, is it only 5?
Yeah, it's once you get your
Pretty
6th
sure it's 5.
XP. Oh, no, wait, it's once you filled all 5, uncheck and choose an improvement.
Awesome. Yep. So
I would like to trade out one of my moves if that's okay.
Yeah, what are you moving out and what are you getting?
I seem to be using preparedness wrong, so I'm going to uncheck that and use I've read about this sort of thing.
Okay.
And that lets me use sharp instead of cool when I act under pressure.
Okay, so you're no longer going to just be able to produce items on demand. It's going to be it's act under pressure, you said?
Yeah, act under pressure using sharp instead of cool.
That's pretty damn good.
Yeah, because that's your strongest stat, right?
Yes, I have a 2 in sharp.
Awesome. Okay, I guess that answers that question. The other thing I wanted to touch on was luck. We didn't use any luck last time, which is fine. You're under no obligation to use it, but I just wanted to remind you that it is an option. Essentially, it negates any harm that you would take from a single hit, or it can basically guarantee you success with a 10 on a roll. So I know we got into kind of a sticky spot when Jillian went and fed. You could have, if you wanted to, used luck to get out of that situation. I like where it went narratively.
But this is a more interesting story.
Exactly. I just wanted to remind you that you guys could do it. Previously on Lonely Roads.
I'm going to try to make sure people don't die. Remember, it was just a normal bear on drugs or something.
I'm off to find me a different victim. Find me a victim I don't give a shit about.
I'm going to give you a hard choice. I think
it makes for a better story if I take her with me and somebody saw me.
Yep, I'm going to take them back to camp and let Think Tank do their thinking.
And I'm going to explain that we need to find the body of this ghost bear and whatever man seems to have climbed into it and burn them after salting them to destroy the ghost forever. Otherwise, it's going to come back.
Okay, I think what happens is as things start to come to a head here, Luther, you go for your gun. Christopher, you're kind of still pushing at Frida's mind. And Leopold, you are confirming the location of this creature. Jillian, you pop out of mist form and shove your...
We don't have time for this.
Yeah, you drive your shovel into the dirt, and as soon as you fling out one shovelful of dirt, as it hits the ground, you see the air above the grave begins to get a tinge of red, as Bojo and Frank begin to reform.
Well, fuck. I'm gonna yell out, "Got company!" and I'm gonna take a golf swing with this shovel.
Okay, so are you immediately trying to engage in combat and kick some ass?
I am going to roll a kick some ass. My goal is more to get it away from where I need to dig.
Okay, so if you're just trying to move it, I think you can do an act under pressure for that. So go ahead and roll plus cool.
My weird is better.
So that is a 9. You get a worse outcome, hard choice, or price to pay. So I think this is a ghost, and in order to move it, I think you have to, you're not going to be able to just push it with your shovel. I think you're going to have to get in its face, and as a result, you're going to take some harm from it if you choose to still do this.
No.
Okay. So I think what happens is you kind of push at it with your shovel a little bit after calling out, and it turns on you, and it's very clearly focused on you, and you can tell that it's angry by the fact that you are further disturbing its gravesite. However, we're going to go to the 3 people who are not currently engaged. You 3 hear Jillian yell out, and you see both Rosa and Frida stop bickering once again and turn in her direction. Once again, I'll leave it up to the 3 of you to decide who acts next.
The poor confused park ranger. She's like, I just looked over there. There was nothing but mist.
Yeah, exactly.
Those poor park rangers.
Makes sense that Luther or Mr. Ortega would be going before me. They seem to be a little bit more better prepared.
Okay, I will grab my shotgun. I will look at the mayor and the park ranger, tell them, get the hell out of here, and I will engage to protect Jillian.
I guess this is pretty clearly a protect someone, so go ahead and roll plus tough.
I will use my ability Never Again. In combat, I may choose to protect someone without rolling as though I rolled a plus 10, but I may not choose to suffer little harm.
Okay, so then you can choose that all impending danger is focused on you, you can inflict harm, or you can hold the enemy back.
All impending danger is now focused on me.
Okay, so what are you, as you're running into the site, what are you doing to get its attention?
I'm pumping it full of just shells. I got my shotgun, so I'm just going to pump it full of some bullets.
Oh, not rock salt.
I'm not a ghost hunter, man.
Okay, yeah, I think you bring your gun forward and you pull the trigger and you shoot it, and you hit center mass, but it doesn't seem to do any damage. But when you do this, you see that the Bojo, who is before was just kind of like this glowing red mass with the form of a human, a black-like form of a human inside, you see that the blackness begins to grow, and Bojo and Frank separate. At this point, Bojo the bear, the big red mass, focuses on you, and as does, I guess they both would focus on you because you're using a move for it, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I think that's exactly what happens. So you go, you shoot it with your shotgun, and Bojo and Frank immediately separate and swarm onto you. Bojo actually attacks you with his claws, kind of overrunning you, and then Frank grips your throat. So what's going to happen here is you are being attacked by both right now. You're going to take 3 harm from Bojo's claws and 2 harm from Frank's hands. Ignore armor. So that's a total of 5 harm as they immediately let into you. You succeeded in protecting Jillian, but you got what you wanted. They're focused on you.
Yeah. Okay. So
Ow.
there's no roll against it. They straight up just deal damage to me.
Yeah. So they are essentially. This is the reaction to the move you've made. So I think as they're letting into you and you're kind of paralyzed in this moment, Christopher and Leopold, what are you doing?
I'm getting my juju bag out, and I'm using some juju on this this magic bear ghost.
Okay. It sounds like you are attacking it, so go ahead and roll kick some ass.
All right. This has the gear tags of 1 harm, far, and magic.
Are you targeting Frank or Bojo?
I'm going to target Bojo because Bojo is a big bear and Frank is a human-sized ghost.
Okay.
So kick some ass is tough, right?
Unless you have something which changes it, yes, it is plus tough.
It is not. So I do not. So plus tough it is. Oh, it's going to be
that is
bad.
a 6. So go ahead and mark experience. So I guess what is it? How do you use your hex bag? Like, what are the mechanics of it?
It doesn't really give me much to work off of, other than that it's a ranged weapon that uses magic. So I would assume I use it as a focus for some kind of spell, and cast and try to reach out with my mind and magic to put a curse on my enemy.
Okay.
And
so
a powerful enough ghost, I'm sure, could reach back.
Yeah, I'm trying to think about how this is going to go badly. I think what happens is you run up to that low wall and you begin fumbling with this hex bag. And as you're kind of holding it and, I don't know, maybe chanting or doing some kind of ritual involved with it, and you're doing this towards Bojo, but what happens is Frank, who currently is gripping Luther's throat, looks up and he immediately disappears and gets in your face and smacks your hand, knocking the hex bag out, and at the same time rams a ghostly fist into your stomach. So you are not going to do any harm to them, unfortunately. You have lost your mojo bag. It's on the ground, and you are going to take 2 harm, ignore armor.
Yeah, I'm going to be lucky enough to not take any harm.
So you're using a luck point.
I am indeed.
Okay.
So can I use that to just not take harm, or can I retroactively change the effect and get something off first?
So I think that if we were going to change the effect, we'd want to do it when we rolled it. I think at this point it's just not taking harm.
I'm okay with that.
Okay. So any thoughts about how you luck out of this?
I'm going to say I have the remnants of a ward that shatters rather than my precious psychic energy flowing out of me.
Okay. Yeah, I like that. So as Frank immediately kind of apparates in front of you, as he swings, this mystical shield shatters, but he's unable to hurt or disarm you. Christopher, what are you doing?
That's a lot of ghost. I'm going to sprint to the pit and try and take care of the corpses before they rip the rest of our team to shreds.
Okay, so I think you can definitely sprint into the pit. Right now the corpses are buried, they're covered in dirt. So are you trying to like expose them, or are you just like doing something to the ground itself to like hurt them in it?
Are you using your turn, for lack of a better term, to aid another in digging it out?
That one.
Is that what you're saying?
So are you helping someone, or are you attempting to dig them out yourself through magic or a shovel or whatever?
Shovel.
We have shovels.
Self shovel. Yeah. Words. Brain not work right. Sorry.
Okay. So, no, that's fine. I think this will fall under Act Under Pressure. So go ahead and roll plus cool.
That's cool.
That is an 8, so you get a worse outcome, hard choice, or price to pay. I think the obvious answer here is price to pay. I think you're able to grab the shovel that Jillian was using before hell kind of broke loose here, and you start unearthing it. And it's something where they've been digging in this area with like heavy machinery. You can see there's actually like excavators and other heavy machinery names that I don't know around. So the most of the work has been done. So you're able to get a couple scoops in, and you actually feel something under your shovel hard hit. But as you're doing this, Bojo immediately turns and regards and starts rushing towards you. So I'm not. There's no like initiative order or anything like that. So I think as long as everyone gets a turn within a round, you guys can kind of dictate who goes when.
Okay, so the thing started to rush towards Christopher.
Yeah, so you had run in Luther and garnered its attention, but then when Christopher came back and started messing with the grave, it immediately disengaged from you, like its claws retracted, from your flesh, and it whipped around, and you can. It's weird. Before, every time you've kind of fought these things, they've been silent. You swear you can hear the heavy breathing of this massive bear as it starts charging towards Christopher.
Okay, I would like to use the protect someone again for Christopher. I would like to hold the monster back.
Before you do that, I would like to use my weird eldritch magic. No, it's not eldritch at all. I'm just a vampire. I want to move super fast and dig out these fucking corpses.
Okay, I think both of those can kind of happen at once. So I assume you're using your automatic 10, Luther, to hold it back?
Yeah, I'm going to use my automatic 10 to use the effect for protect someone, hold the monster back. So I'm gonna.
So how are you holding this ghost?
Well, I'm assuming it has since it can hurt me. It's manifested itself to a point of like some physical form of some fashion. But since shotgun shells did not work, I'll retrieve a small vial of holy water from my pocket because vampires, and I'll douse my hands in it and try to get a good grip.
Okay. I don't know whether it's the holy water or the fact that it is seeming to be moving more into this world, but you are able to get a grip on it, and you manage to wrap your arms around this bear, and it's not easy. You're definitely straining really hard, but you're able to hold it back from attacking Christopher. Jillian, it sounds like you're using magic, right? So go ahead and roll plus weird. And I think the effect we've established is going beyond human limitations. So that's a 6. Go ahead and mark experience. So on a 6, when you're using magic, you lose control and anything can happen. So, has Jillian ever totally lost control before? When tapping into kind of these vampiric powers?
I did lose control. I lost control and almost killed the good doctor.
So, I guess when it normally with like magic, when you lose control, the typical things would be like, oh, it explodes in your face or it comes back on you. But because you're tapping into your vampiric nature, I think this is, if anything, a little more risky. So I guess I kind of want to ask you what you think happens when she loses control in this moment.
I'm sorry, I'm kind of drawing a blank right now.
Yeah, so am I, which is why I tried to foist it off on you.
One suggestion is you're tapping into your monstrous side, which is something you normally suppress. Maybe it takes over a little.
Yeah,
Easy
I
answer,
think.
but
Yeah, I think that totally makes sense. I just don't know what that necessarily means. Is it
Do
something
we want
where
to treat it as like my curse becomes active and it's act under pressure, or do we want to do something more severe than that?
I mean, you could also spend luck to just make that roll a 10.
that both of those
You
are
know what?
options?
I think that's a. What does that do as far as experience? Is the question.
So I think instead of earning experience, I don't think you earn the experience because you're essentially negating the roll. And as we're talking, I think that's what it comes down to. You can use luck to be successful, or I think the consequence here is that you have lost control. You are in full vampire mode, and as a result, you are going to attack either the mayor or Ranger Frida.
Yeah, I'm just gonna use a luck.
Okay, go ahead and check that off. So with that, you have a 10. So you are able to tap into your vampiric side, speed up, and aid Christopher. The bodies are now exposed. As you move off all of the dirt, you can see there is the skeleton of a bear. It is shining like it's kind of tarnished because it's old, but you can see it clearly exposed under the bright light of the nearly full moon. But there's no human skeleton; it's just a bear.
Guys, there's only one of them in here.
Barnett will deal with the other one in a sec. I'm holding a bear.
Good news is it's the bear.
So I guess I'll interject to run over and try to use magic to banish this spirit.
Okay, that's pretty straightforward. Go ahead and roll plus weird to use magic.
There you go.
There we go.
That is an 11. You set out to do what you do. The magic works without issues. The effect you have chosen is banish a spirit or corpse from this place, object, or place it inhabits. So how do you go about banishing Bojo?
I salt and burn his body. Magically reinforcing that to make sure he's gone.
We have salt. We have gasoline.
We have magic.
Okay, so is this something where you are using your heck bag or just like shooting fire from your hand, or how does that work?
No, I'm using blessings and stuff on the salt and calling upon ancient eldritch things to banish the ghost.
Okay, yeah, that's really cool. So you grab a handful of salt and whisper these incantations, which would surely drive anyone else mad. Cast it down into the open grave, kick over the gasoline, and light it up. And as this fire roars up, for the first time, you can openly and plainly hear the Bojo, this bear, starts just roaring. Screaming would be a better word. And as it starts screaming, it begins fading from your arms, Luther. It begins to dissipate as it begins to disappear and winks out of this world. As this happens, Luther, too many L names. Frank, the black spirit, sees you doing this, and he actually cries out, "No!" And he is going to. What can he do? He has options.
Probably try to murder me.
I think he actually does something else. He sees that Bojo is gone, and after crying out no, he looks at all of you, and he turns and he rushes towards Luther's pickup truck. And you see he runs directly into the hood and disappears, and you hear a terrible scraping and clanging sound.
Dear Lord, he's possessed the truck.
Not my truck.
That can't be
I
a good
didn't know
thing.
they could do that.
To clarify, it's not like he's going and possessing it. It sounds like he has more of a destructive aim.
Oh, well,
Oh, he's poltergeisting the truck. Okay.
he may have fried your truck. Gonna climb on up out of this hole, all casual like.
Luther is livid.
I'm going to keep looking for his body. I'm digging.
How's my bike?
So I think your bike is okay. After Leopold, you continue digging. I'm not going to make you roll for that. That's fine. As you are digging, you don't find any more skeletal remains, but you do see the ghost of Frank emerge from the engine. The motorcycle is unharmed, but as he looks at you all, some of that blackness which fades, that has been like his entire being, fades a little bit, and for the first time you can make out like features, and he's just got a big grin. There are lots of teeth exposed. And I think one thing we haven't talked about is Rosa and Frida.
Yep, I was about to get to them.
Yeah, they're kind of at first when this ghostly bear emerged, they stood there kind of shocked. But Rosa immediately stood behind Frida, and Frida drew what you didn't notice it before, but she has like a pistol, like a sidearm. She drew it and had it aimed on the bear, but through the chaos, she never really got a shot. And so as this ghost kind of emerges from the truck, she cracks off a shot, and it doesn't do anything.
Hey,
But-
Ranger Danger, Miss Mare. You don't know where that convict was buried, do you?
So I think Rosa turns and looks at you, and she's very clearly in shock. She says, "Convict? What convict? What's happening?" And Frida lets off another round, and the ghost of Frank Kraft immediately starts closing in on Frida.
Okay, guns aren't going to work against a ghost.
Oh, hell no.
I guess I'm gonna. Can I try to kick some ass to knock it away from her?
So is your intention to protect her, or is your intention to hurt it?
My intention is to use my unholy strength to throw it.
Okay, so it sounds like that's more of a protect someone. So yeah, if you want to protect them, you can roll plus tough.
If she's using kick some ass, she can use the thing, force them where you want them.
Yeah, but that is something which will only happen on a 10 plus, and it's a question of what you are trying to accomplish narratively. Is it move them away?
The reason why I ask is because, and the reason why I bring this up is if I use my unholy strength, it only changes out my roll for my kick some ass.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that's true. But again, I think it comes down to what move you're trying to do. Are you trying to stop the creature from attacking them, which would just be a protect someone, or are you trying to?
No, it's a lot more violent than that.
Okay. I mean, if you want to roll, if you want to hurt it, you can certainly do that, but there is no guarantee that you are going to protect Frida in the process.
Maybe she'll stop firing randomly into the night.
Or maybe she'll decide you're a monster too and try to shoot you. Who knows?
Listen, if they attack me first, they're fair game. I get to feed on them.
No, not sure that's how that works.
vampire bloodline rules. I don't lose humanity if they shoot on me first. No, I don't know if that's actually how we want to do it, but it's just kind of fun to say.
Yeah, that is a bridge I think we'll cross when we come to it. Jillian's walking a dark path, and I dig it. So go ahead and roll plus weird. So that is a 9. So on a 9, so basically you hurt each other. Because you didn't get the 10 plus, Frida is going to take some damage. So I think what happens here is you are kind of in this pit when you see it start to unfold. So you kind of scramble out and immediately start trying to intercept. But Frank gets there first, and he actually just, it looks like he's just straight up punching her, but his fist goes through her face, and she staggers back, clearly not expecting whatever just happened, and she drops her gun on the ground, which actually fires, but the bullet goes wild. And it's at this point that you meet with Frank. What kind of attack are you doing?
My best one, which is my teeth.
You rush in, you fight Frank, you bite him for 3 harm. You get a mouthful of ghost, which is probably not great tasting. But as you kind of embrace him in this bite, he returns the favor and wraps his arms around you, and you feel that coldness seep into your body, and you will take 2 harm, cold, ignore armor. Jillian is tangling with Frank. What are the rest of you doing?
Oh, I'm mad. I'm getting my chainsaw and I'm putting into it. I'm putting my chainsaw into Frank. I'm gonna give it the old dunkaroo and the bucket of holy water in the back, and I'm gonna just lay into him.
I'm gonna keep trying to find his body.
Okay. I will let you know that his body is not here. You can continue digging, and I think in fact you do. But you get deep beyond, like several, I think a foot or two, kind of in this panic beyond the skeleton of Bojo, and maybe even start widening the hole quickly. But there you will find no skeleton as much as you dig. So Luther, yeah, he's go ahead and roll plus tough to chainsaw yourself ghost.
Okay.
Do it.
I also get a
Nice.
+1 for tools of the trade.
Oh, nice. So that is 13, maybe 14 with your +1. So, yeah, you will do damage to each other, and I think you get to hold 1.
Okay, yeah, it says if I get a 10 plus, I can choose 1 extra effect. I will inflict terrible harm, which
Is +1 harm.
okay, so it's a 3 harm weapon. So 4 harm, hand, messy, unreliable, loud, and heavy.
You want a couple more adjectives to throw on there?
Yeah, I don't know what half of these do.
Mostly they're just narrative descriptors.
Yeah, exactly. It kind of defines what happens when the attack occurs. Like, obviously, that is never going to be something you would want to use in a stealthy situation. But for the moment, I think it's exactly what is called for. As you rev up your chainsaw, it roars in the like the open night, and you can hear it reverberating in the trees around you. And you carve into this ghost, and you can see that his kind of like spiritual essence, this blackness, it actually splits open as you cut a huge chunk from him, and he looks around, and he begins to like dissipate, like he kind of gets like unsteady, and you can see through him more to an extent, and you can actually see Jillian's face right in front of you. And as he kind of fades from existence, he lunges forward, and he kind of moves through you entirely, and you feel that wash of cold. So you are going to take 2 harm. Ignore armor, not that you necessarily have armor. Frank disappears as you withdraw your attack.
Okay. So I am going to use a luck to not die and not take damage.
What is your harm? Oh, that's right, because you were extremely hurt. You were at 5 harm, right?
Yes, I'm at 5 harm, so I'm taking a luck to not die.
Okay. You dance out of the way as Frank disappears. You see Rosa and Frida. Rosa is kind of looking around wildly and scrambling towards her gun, and Rosa is just staring at you, Luther. And she says, "Wait, weren't you the one who came into City Hall earlier and tried to bribe the clerk?"
Wait, you bribed the clerk at the museum?
It sounded like she said tried.
Just to be clear, is the ghost still here?
The ghost is not still here. Bojo has appears to be gone, and Frank has dissipated for the moment.
Okay, all right. So that changes at least my demeanor, because like I am bleeding, and he's gonna turn. He's like, "Yep, that were me."
Jesus, Dad!
What? I got grabbed by a bear and a dead guy.
Doctor, you should, she's going to, like, turn around and look at decidedly something else.
Meanwhile, I'm going to try to, since the body doesn't seem to be here, do some magic to make sure this ghost can't reappear as quickly this time. Or hopefully destroy it if I can, but I'm assuming that's not possible yet.
This ghost being Frank.
Yes, the one who's still actually, like, not permadead.
Okay. So I guess I don't think you can banish it, because you would need his body, which we've established here, but you could potentially bar him from coming to this place. I think that's something you could do.
Theoretically, if I wanted to use big magic here, what would it require to try to destroy him without his body?
Let's look at big magic. So I think if you wanted to use big magic and you did not have his body at hand, which you don't, you would require a like a conduit is the best way I can think of describing it, like a location which is already inherently magical and powerful. It's something which is beyond your normal limitations, so you'd have to have something to draw on. And the best way you know how to do that is using the latent magic around you. So you'd have to find some kind of magical place.
All right. And then I assume use magic is part of the ritual as well?
Yes, but you'll have to find that location first. I think as you assess the area around you, this place is certainly desecrated, but it's not like powerful by itself.
Yeah, it's somewhere that's been twisted, but it's not a ley line.
Precisely.
Then I think I'll just, for the moment, attempt to use magic to try to bar him from reappearing here for the moment, to at least give us a chance to recover.
Okay, I like it. Go ahead and roll plus weird. I know what'll happen if it goes bad.
Guess
that
what
is
just
a 6.
Maybe burn a luck.
No, I think it's narratively appropriate. I've already called on Eldritch Power. I'm a little power mad at the moment.
Okay, so I think what happens is as you are all kind of circling around Luther and kind of exclaiming and worrying about his wounds, Leopold, you step to the gravesite and you begin invoking an incantation, trying to bar this spirit. And it's something where I think maybe the way this spell works is that you have to be familiar with the spirit, and that's something which you are now, but you have to name it when it happens. And when you speak Frank's name, Frank Kraft, to bar him from this place, it goes sideways on you, and instead of barring him, you immediately draw him. So as these words leaves your mouth, an energy begins to coalesce around you, and Frank appears immediately in front of you and reaches out and grabs you. So you are going to take 2 harm from him attacking you immediately. The rest of you look up and you see the doctor being strangled by this dark figure, which just disappeared. What do you do?
Oh, come on!
Well, I'm getting my chainsaw. I'm gonna give him the
Yeah,
old reveroo.
You rev your chainsaw. I'm gonna just level my magnum at it. Gonna try and shoot it with my magnum.
I will say that you have seen that guns have been ineffective so far, unless there's something you're doing to change that.
Right. I guess it just makes more sense for me to wait in there. I mean, he can't hit all of us at once, can he?
Technically, yes.
Yeah, I mean, the way the mechanics of the game work is that whenever you do something, the creature does something back. Like, it's not like he has an action economy. It's always reactive to whatever you are doing. And whenever you choose to roll kick some ass, he will always do damage back. That's just the way the move works. So choosing to always go in swinging is not necessarily always the best option. I don't know if that's best now. That's kind of up for you guys to decide. But you are certainly injured to the point where that could be troublesome. And especially Luther, you are unstable at this point.
We have salt. Like, okay, so what I'm trying to is, at this point, I have established we know in-game that salting the bones and burning them, so they don't like salt. So I would like to try to harm it with salt, or banish it. I don't know how it works mechanically. I don't know.
Oh, I got this, Barbara.
I guess story-wise would be how you want to do that.
Okay, I got this. Take the salt, use it to use magic. The effect you're looking for is banish a spirit or curse from an object, place, or it inhabits.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think that or using it as a weapon would both work. But if you want to roll plus weird to try to banish it using the salt, using magic, please do so.
Yeah. Yes, I would.
Okay, that is a 14. Yeah, you seeing Luther hurt the way he is, and the shock of this spirit reappearing and hurting Leopold, you don't want to fight it. So you take this handful of salt and you fling it in front of you in an arc. And as it strikes the ghost, it once again disappears. It evaporates, releasing Leopold from its grasp.
Right.
I'm going to turn back to Mayor Rose and Frida and be like, now, as I was saying, yes, I were the one that was trying to take some extra time in the museum to figure out what was going on.
Frida, I think, has recovered her firearm at this point and is just kind of sitting on the ground with it and looks up to you all. So that was a ghost, right?
Yep.
Yes.
2 ghosts, actually.
I see. I see. And she kind of goes quiet, and Mayor Rosa kind of stands up as well and brushes herself off, completely unharmed, and steps up to you all, and she says, "Could you explain what exactly is happening here? I don't quite understand."
I'd love to explain. But first, we need to find where the old convict who was killed by the bear's body is. Do you have any idea what they did with whatever the hell his name was?
His name was Frank.
She looks at you two and she says, I don't know, but I'm sure we have records in the town hall. Yeah, no, we can go there. Well, that's the only thing I can think of.
Records will be fine. Luther's going to take himself back to the truck and just slowly begin bandaging his deep, deep bear gashes.
You
Yeah, I'm
might
gonna
have
go
to
help.
leave the truck here for now, Dad.
I love my truck.
I unload my motorcycle.
Chris, is it with my sight to see spirits and magical influences and invisible things, was I able to determine a general direction that he if he disappeared, pulled back to his body, or he just vaporized in place?
I think if you're using your sight, you can definitely tell that both times he kind of dissolved. The link with his spirit was within town, and both times he headed north in that direction. If you wanted to try to, I don't know, follow it with your sight beyond yourself, you could try to use magic, but that might not go well.
That's perfectly acceptable stupid risk. I would like to do that without telling anyone.
All right. So I think you are going to use magic, so roll plus weird, and the effect we are going here is observe a place or time. So that is an 8. On a 7 to 8, it works imperfectly. We choose the effect, so go ahead and choose a glitch. The glitch effects are: it's weakened, it's a short duration, you take 1 harm, the magic draws immediate unwelcome attention, or it has a problematic side effect.
I swear to God, if you summon Frank.
The weakened one.
Okay, so I think the effect is weakened, so you're able to follow Frank as he returns to his grave. You're not able to see exactly where he goes, but you see the outline of a church in the darkness. You're not able to make out a name, but you can see that he's probably in just a graveyard.
Okay. Hey guys.
Yeah, what?
Frank is not buried out in the woods. He's in town somewhere, in some kind of normal place like a graveyard.
Oh,
Could you
well,
see anything?
that's convenient.
I mean,
It's
I
a
don't know,
graveyard.
This is a small town. How many churches are there?
At this point, Frida would have stood up and joins the conversation, and she has holstered her weapon, and she says, "There's only one church in town, and it does have a graveyard. I'll take you there."
How convenient.
Maybe we should
Great.
heal up a little first, patch up the wounds. This is probably going to be a fight. This thing doesn't want to be banished.
Already on it, and I'm still bandaging myself, but I'm talking to Mayor Rose. I'm like, I told you should have just left.
I couldn't just abandon this place. How was I supposed to know you guys are... What are you, ghost hunters?
It's best that
Priests?
It is best that you never knew what we were.
Oh my god, I could cry.
Okay, look, Mayor, ideally, you would have never known what it is that we do.
Priests!
At this point, I don't disagree with you, but I can't help feel like I've got some responsibility here. And I think Frida at this point will interject and she'll say, "No, Mayor, I told you before, this is my jurisdiction and you should go home." And Rosa kind of looks to you, Luther, because you're the one talking to her.
Mayor, you can't blame yourself for what some angry spirit wants to do because you wanted to build the thing. Just go home, get yourself some sleep.
Try to pretend none of this ever happened. It'll probably be better for you.
She looks at you all and you can tell she's very like ashen in the face, and she's kind of got that like 1,000-yard stare. And she kind of nods and she says, "Y'all are gonna get it, right?"
That's the idea, but in the meantime, he'll go to the to like one of the little like the click open like where he keeps tools, and he'll just get a thing of like table salt, one of like the little like round things from like Morton, and he'll just toss it to her, and he'll be like, "In the meantime, draw yourself a circle around your bed and hope that we get it fast enough."
I think she just manages to catch it. She fumbles with it, and as she holds it, she's holding it like tight to her chest, and her hands, like you can see they've gone white with how hard she's gripping it. And she kind of swallows and stands up straight, and she says, "Okay, well, good night then."
Yeah, sorry, Mayor. Ghosts ain't my specialty.
See you in the morning.
She gets in her car, and her engine starts, and she drives off. So you all are standing here still in this site. What would you like to do next?
All right, Frida. So I don't want you getting hurt. So if you just tell us where this church is and drop us off, we should be fine.
She looks at you and she says, "Well, I can respect that." And she kind of touches her throat where you can see there's a mark from where she was attacked. But that doesn't change the fact that whatever hell this is came out of my woods. I've known this place and I've protected it and walked it for years. How could I not have known that something like this was here? This is why I became a forest ranger. And she indicates herself. No, I'm afraid that if you want my help in this, I get to be there and help you take it down.
Fair enough. He gets her some salt and gasoline.
Your own death wish.
Jillian. Rude.
What? It's true.
It ain't true. Ain't no more true than it was my own death wish. Frida, you'll be fine. Here's some salt. Here's some gasoline. Proud of you.
She takes them and hoists them up. She says, "All right, well, looks like your pickup's no good. Why don't you guys pile on mine?"
Yeah, I'm gonna follow her on my motorcycle.
I'm gonna follow on her
He
motorcycle.
waits for everyone to not be watching. He takes a quick look around. He gives his truck a hug and says, "I'm sorry." And then he goes in with the others.
Okay. So you are all following Frida, and she will leave you to... just to clarify, earlier there was mention of healing. Did you still want to take the time to do that, or are you getting on this now?
I really think we should heal up so we don't all fucking die.
So what does unstable mean?
It means you need treatment, I think. You need to actually be treated.
Yeah, so what happens is if you are unstable and you continue pressing, you're going to start taking harm. So like if you go to kick some ass, or if you go to try to fix a truck or lift something heavy, it's going to hurt you to do it. You are actively bleeding out at this point. Typically when you get to this level of harm, basic first aid can either heal one harm, or I think it can make you stable, but not both. You need to get to a hospital is essentially where you're at now.
All right, well, why don't y'all just drop me off at the hospital and y'all take care of it?
Or we could all heal up and go in at full strength.
I like that idea.
What time is it? Is it daytime yet? How close to daytime is it?
It is. It is. You started out late. I think when you initially started from the campsite, it was midnight, if I remember correctly. So I think when you got here and then thought, and then by the time it'll take you to get back into town and kind of make your decision, it's still going to be pretty dang late. I think it's in the AM now, probably like 2 or 3 a.m. 3 a.m. we can say. That's kind of cutting it both ways. If you ask Frida, she will say that there is a clinic. They're probably not open at this point, but she can probably get you in.
Yeah. Any idea when? So what? I've got a couple hours until sunrise, basically.
That sounds right.
Right. Well, I've got a couple hours. Then I need to go to ground.
I think that is a good point. Another good point is just the consideration of if your goal is to dig up and burn a body, maybe doing it in the middle of the day is not a great idea. And one thing I forgot to mention is as you are all in her pickup truck and on the motorcycle, driving down that main road towards town, you see that a cop car speeds along and passes you. Its lights are on. Its sirens aren't on, but it is speeding in the opposite direction of you. Jillian, maybe not everyone else, but Jillian, you know this is in the direction of the activist camp that you fed on.
So it is. Oh well.
I'm going to say la vie.
So I think what can happen here is if you want to take time, you can try to administer first aid and attempt to stabilize Luther, or alternatively just heal one. Or if you all want to patch up, you can kind of do the same thing. I don't think anyone else is not stable. You can go to your campsite and all heal one harm, essentially.
I think that might be for the best.
As far as Luther goes, are you joining them at the campsite and attempting to heal a little bit, or are you pulling yourself out of the fight and attempt to get more serious care?
Well, I mean, I don't want to let them... Yeah, I could just heal myself a bit and just hope it doesn't get worse until afterwards.
Yeah, I'm going to actually try to manipulate somebody into forcing you to get some actual treatment.
That is actually a thing. You can do that against hunters. So, the way this works...
Apparently, as with everything, you roll and then I automatically deal damage to you.
So for another hunter on a 10+, if they do what you ask, they mark experience and get +1 forward. On a 7 to 9, they mark experience if you do what they ask. On a miss, it's up to that hunter to decide how badly you offend them or annoy them. They mark experience if they decide not to do what you asked. Monsters and minions cannot normally be manipulated.
Okay, so I get experience for listening to him.
So if it is a 7+ and you listen to him, you mark experience. On a miss, you get experience if you ignore him.
All right, so an 8 is a success. He will look at Jillian. He'll look back at the doctor. He'll look back at Jillian.
You have too much to lose by letting this fester.
Fine. Drop me off at the hospital. Just burn the son bitch and get back to me, all right? All of you.
Of course.
All right, so I will go seek medical attention.
Stop bleeding on everything.
Hey.
So, okay, I think what will happen here is Frida will take you to a small clinic. It is currently closed. The sign on the door says it opens at 7. She looks at you, Luther, and she says that they're not going to be open a while. Do you want to just wait here, or do you want to try to go in and see if we can find, I don't know, some antiseptic or something? I'm not a nurse.
I'll wait here, and he's just gonna like try to patch himself up just for them to get there, I'll give myself enough time with like basic first aid, but like, yeah, no, I'll wait for him. It's fine. Just y'all go do your thing.
Okay, so when you are unstable, it's something where you can either choose to, and I'll have to look up this rule because I don't remember if this is how it works, but it's how we'll use it now. You can either heal one harm, or you can not heal one harm and no longer be unstable.
I will choose to not be unstable so that I don't bleed out before the doctor arrives.
That makes total sense. So, Luther strikes me as the type of guy who's going to be like strapping himself with duct tape or something.
Yeah. Duct tape and some backyard stitches.
Okay, so you are waiting at this clinic. The rest of you return to your campsite. And are there any discussions you're trying to have, or are you just patching up before heading in?
I'm just patching up.
Yeah, I'm patching up. Are we actually going in before like sunrise and sunset again, or
Do we have time for that?
No.
If that was a question for me, that's not something I'm really going to answer. That's up for you guys to determine based on what you've seen and done.
I think it's worth waiting until the next sunset, simply so we can go in as close to full strength as possible. Rushing in will only get us killed.
So I guess I'm camping here for the night or day.
Okay, so what will happen here is you all begin resting at camp. And Luther, when the clinic opens, you can see that there's a young man who actually comes. He's wearing scrubs as he has keys in hand and like a cup of Starbucks. And he notices you as he's unlocking the door. And he's like, "Good God, dude, what happened to you?"
Well, I found the bear.
You fought with a bear?
Well, I were camping with my daughter, and I found me a bear.
He kind of shakes his head, clearing it, and he says, "Okay, well, come with me. Man, I hope you have good insurance." And he will take you inside and begin patching you up. Go ahead and heal 2 harm, and I think you are actually like fully admitted. They have a bed in the back where you are hooked up to IVs in this hospital room.
Wonderful. I will relax.
Okay, the rest of you, as you are resting through the day, go ahead and heal 1 harm as you administer your first aid. And so Jillian is obviously sleeping. Are the rest of you doing so as well, or are you out and about?
I'm resting up.
I hope somebody keeps other people. Can I have just like a little lock that I lock my tent zipper closed with?
I mean, I think that's, yeah, if you have a lock on your tent or whatever. I mean, obviously, whatever this setup is, I imagine it is designed to both keep out casual intruders and block all sunlight, so I don't think a lock is out of the question.
Cool.
Oh, so Chris, I think we heal more than just 1. Because the healing rules on page 111 are anything moderate we'd heal just with a decent night's sleep. Or am I reading wrong? I think I'm reading wrong.
No, it just says it reduces the injury by 1.
Alright, I did read
1
it
to
wrong.
3 harm will improve when your hunter has a chance to rest up. Example, a decent night's sleep. Or get some first aid treatment. This reduces an injury by 1 harm. Serious wounds, 4+ harm, require treatment. They are normally unstable, meaning they will worsen if untreated. The keeper will tell you when to mark off another point of harm. Left too long, serious wounds will kill you. If a move tells you that the injury is now stable, you can erase a mark
in the unstable box. If you take any more harm and are still at 4 harm or more, your injuries become unstable again.
For serious wounds, first aid heals 1 harm, but will still be unstable. What counts as treatment depends on the wound, but it will usually be for the following: a hunter's healing move, time in an infirmary, a visit to a doctor, emergency room, a magic spell. Okay, so I guess you can't use first aid to no longer be unstable. I don't want to change anything as we are now. I think, Luther, you have healed 2, and you are no longer unstable as a result of admitting yourself to care, assuming you stay the entire day.
Yeah. I'm chilling here. They can have ghost adventures without Luther for the moment.
We'll pick you up at the end of the night.
The price I pay for being awesome.
We'll just pick you up from the clinic at the end of the rest and then go hunt some ghosts. It'll be fine.
And don't worry, we will take off the big plastic cone to keep you from licking your wounds when we get in the car.
I swear, boy, I'm going to stick this chainsaw in you.
Okay, so I think what's going to happen here is, as I said before, you all heal, and there is something which happens to the day, but it won't interrupt your healing. I think what happens is, Luther, while you are resting in your hospital bed, did you take any of your weapons with you, or did you leave them in Frida's truck?
I had to leave them in Frida's truck.
Okay. So as you're laying in this hospital bed, resting, the door to your room opens, and it's something where the nurses have been coming in periodically. But this time when the door opens, you see a older man in a set of rumpled sheriff's clothes. He has a mustache. He is a little overweight. Jillian and Christopher would recognize him, but I don't think you've had the pleasure. But as the door opens, you can see he has a name tag, because we're using names. His name is Ben Ackerman. And the nurse or attendant you met at the opening of the shop is leading him in, and he says, well, Sheriff, he's awake. I suppose you can ask him some questions. And he walks into the room, and he looks at you, and he says, I understand your name's Luther. Is that right?
That's right. If you're here to cuff the bear, I ain't pressing charges.
And he laughed at that. Yeah, I figured that'd be the case. So, Luther, I understand you fought this bear. Can you tell me exactly what happened?
Well, me and my daughter were camping, and we'd heard that there were bear attacks in the area, and I'm a bear hunter, so I went looking for the bear, and I done found him.
I see. And what was your daughter's name?
My daughter, Jillian.
Jillian. And how old's Jillian? And he takes out a little notepad and starts pen poised.
Right around 20, 30. Like, exactly how old Jillian is.
Sure. And where was Jillian when you were bear hunting?
Over, where is it? The lake. What do you guys call it? Widow Lake? Widow's Peak Lake?
Yeah, Widow's Cove. That's what the town's named after. You'd think it'd get confusing with 2 distinct locations having the same name, but we sorted out somehow.
Yeah, Widow's Cove. Yeah, she was over there with me.
I see. And he takes some notes and unclicks his pen. Well, thank you. That's very helpful. Is Jillian over there now?
Well, frankly, officer, don't know where my daughter is at the moment. I was getting myself rested, and I'm sure she's tending to herself. Is everything okay? You're asking a lot about someone what didn't have nothing to do with the bear.
He kind of stands up. He says, "Well, I just thought it was odd. I can't imagine that if my daughter were hurt, or if my daughter was hurt, my daughter would come and be at my side. A little strange she's not here, isn't it?
Nah, not at all. She knew I was just fine. I told her not to worry her pretty head, go get herself some coffee. She was right upset, but I didn't want her to worry none. You know, father's will. I was going to be okay.
Well, yep, I understand that. It's a good soul you've got on you. You try to get some rest. And he will leave your hospital room.
Yeah, I'm going to send a text to Jillian.
Okay, go ahead and roll plus half your luck, which I think is now 3.
Wait, hold on. How much luck do we actually have? Yes, okay, it's 3.
That is a 10. That is a success. Jillian, as you are sleeping in your tent, it's, I'd say, mid-afternoon at this point, your cell phone vibrates. You receive a text message.
The text message just reads, "Sheriff's looking for you, ain't asking why."
Okay.
That was it.
Yep. All right. So, Jillian, are you doing anything in response to this text?
There's no good place for me to bed down that won't get fucking cause suspicion, is there? Chris.
I mean, do you have to breathe? You could always sleep underwater.
God.
Can I do that?
She's gonna be so wrinkly.
Yeah, you're gonna come out looking like Thanos. I don't know. Does Jillian breathe?
I mean, it says I'm immortal, so I don't sicken, so I guess I don't have to breathe. I guess I'm technically dead.
Okay. I mean, I can't imagine it's going to be very comfortable, but if that's something you think she would do, is immediately go sit on the bottom of a lake?
Listen, I'm just a peanut gallery presenting options here.
I guess I'm gonna go sit on the bottom of the lake.
Okay. You wade into the lake. You're a little uncomfortable getting there, as I think the shoreline is at least a couple 100 feet away. But you sink to the bottom. Are you just sitting on the bottom of the lake? Are you nestling yourself in the mud like a fish?
She's sort of, well, how clear is this lake? Can you see the bottom?
It's a pretty big lake. I think if you get to the center, or at least, beyond the initial drop off of 10 to 20 feet, there's no way you could see the bottom.
Great. I'm gonna walk far enough out that I won't be seen from the bottom, and then I'm gonna lie down and go right back to fucking sleep.
Okay. That happens.
I'm gonna make this somebody else's problem. Find me later, douche.
As a vampire player, I mean, plenty of gangrel do that.
Okay, so Jillian hides out in the lake. And Jillian, as you're sleeping, you have really, really weird dreams. Not nightmares exactly, but not exactly pleasant. Whether it's sleeping in the lake or just this place, or maybe what's happened in the past few days, your rest is fitful. You're still able to rest and you still heal and all that, but it is a disturbing experience. The rest of you, as you are sleeping, maybe you hear the unzipping of a tent and the clomping of an angry Jillian. Maybe you don't.
She just stomps into the water in her shit kickers.
I'd say after that, maybe 45 minutes later, you would hear the telltale sound of tires crunching on gravel as a car slowly passes through the campground in a big circle. And that is it. So, evening falls, and the lot of you have rested. What are you all doing now?
I suppose now I come out of the lake like the fucking Loch Ness monster.
Yeah, what is the rest of your reaction to waking up with no Jillian?
Where did she go?
Where did who go, lad?
Jillian. The
Oh.
only she that was here, I hope. She might have gone to get her dad from the hospital. Let's go get him, and then we should run into her.
That would make sense.
With a loud splashy noise, she walks out of the lake.
Oh dear lord, it's the thing from the Black Lagoon.
Worse, it's my girlfriend.
Ha ha.
Oh good, I owe the thing some money. Rather lovely fellow, obsessed with seaweed magic.
Has the best nori rolls.
You know, sometimes I can't tell when you're joking.
Ah, then I'm doing it right.
So am I able to check out of the hospital, or do I still have to?
You could also just leave regardless of if they let you.
Yeah, I mean that's I think if you try to leave, they are extremely concerned and advise you against it. Sir, you've only had a day resting. You need. Well, look at you. Your stitches could pull apart. I can't, in good conscience, recommend you leave at this point. If you want to, of course, that is up to you as a player.
Well, well, thank you, but I'm gonna, I'll see myself out.
Okay. Well, we'll need you to sign this ream of paperwork. So I think what happens is Jillian and Leopold and Luther, as you begin collecting yourselves, Ranger Frida rolls up in her pickup truck and says, all right, it's dark. We doing this?
Yeah.
Okay. And she, at your assumed instructions, she will drive to the hospital and collect Luther. I imagine Jillian and Christopher, you are on the motorcycle?
Correct.
Yes.
So as you are all now in a group, Frida will drive you to a church. It is the Oakville Assembly of God. It is a pretty standard church. It is made of brick. It is just like a big rectangle. They don't have like a clock tower or bell or anything like that, but they do have nice flowers planted outside in beds along a set of stairs that lead up. And immediately adjacent to it, in like the same city blocks that are like squished together, you can see there is a graveyard. It is ended by a wrought iron fence. The church is dark. It doesn't appear to be holding service or study or anything like that at the moment. It is evening. What would you all like to do?
Gonna make my way into the graveyard, shovel in one hand, and a container of like Gordon's salt in the other.
Okay. I think Frida will follow you with a gas can and that same container of salt that Luther gave her in hand. So, how does this work?
We
Well-
find the convict. We dig up his body, salt and burn his bones.
Yep.
You all do this kind of thing often?
No, typically it's a different kind of bump in the night that I'm putting down for good. But the same principle applies. Salt and burn them.
I'm just glad we can look at this one without going mad.
And she gives you a look, and it looks like she's about to say something, but then bites her tongue and she says, well, you guys know what you're doing. You take point. I'll follow along.
Yeah, it's better that you
Yep.
just think that ghosts are the worst thing out there.
Let's go find us some older graves and try to find which grave is his. Hopefully it's marked.
Sure. So I think as you begin to split up and move throughout the cemetery, it's kind of laid out from like an east to west fashion, where the easternmost graves seem to be newer plots, and the further you go west, closer to the church itself, the older they are. And you get to a section where all of the head markers are very, very small. Like, they're not actually head markers, they're more just like a stone set in the earth, and they're all very, very close together. And they look very old. The letters themselves are worn out. And as you begin hunting through them, you find one labeled Frank Kraft.
And here we go. Gonna start digging.
Yep, I'm gonna help with that.
Wait a moment. Let me make sure of something here. I'd like to do some magic to verify that this is actually Frank's corpse in that grave before we dig it up.
Okay, sure. So that makes sense. So what effect would this fall under?
I would say view something from an earlier time.
Yeah, that works for me. Go ahead and roll plus weird. That is a 9. So it works imperfectly. So go ahead and choose a glitch.
Alrighty. Give me a moment.
I swear to God, if you summon Frank.
I'll do that.
I actually do like the magic draws immediate unwelcome attention, considering we've established that this is partially my fault for my background, even though we don't know it. I smell an arc villain.
You Yeah, so you use your magic in kind of the way we've described before, and you peer back into time, and you can see that there is, it looks like an armed mob, like a posse. They've got cudgels, and a couple of them have long rifles. One of them's dressed like a sheriff, but you see a battered and beaten body that you recognized from the photo in the museum. It is, in fact, Frank Kraft, whose bleeding and clawed up body is tossed unceremoniously into an open grave, the very grave that stands before you. And as you are seeing this vision, you once again feel that connection that is required for magic immediately begin to tingle and backlash. And I think as this connection begins to draw Frank towards you, for a moment, your vision shifts from the past to what looks like the present, and Frank is drawn to you. And for a moment, you see, like, through Frank's eyes, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And you see the body of Mayor Rosa laying on the floor within Town Hall, beginning to bleed out as he is sucked to you and appears before you. The rest of you see Leopold begin chanting over the grave as Frank once again reappears. What do you do?
Damn it. I'm gonna keep digging. Jillian. Hold it off.
Guess I'm going to be the one holding it off.
Okay. This sounds like you are going to be protecting your dear old dad. So for a protect someone, go ahead and roll plus tough.
I mean, we could do it the other way if you prefer, Barbara.
You're more likely to die by it than I am.
Sure enough.
That is a 10 plus. So you successfully distract this creature and prevent harm, and you can choose one extra. You suffer little harm, all impending danger is now focused on you. You inflict harm on the enemy, or you hold the enemy back.
Well, wasn't I holding it back? Isn't that what we determined?
Yeah, I was just asking in the moment if that changed. So, okay, Luther, you begin, you whip out your handy spade and begin unearthing the grave. And as you saw before, the spirit of Frank immediately, like, his attention shifts from Leopold to you as you are disturbing his grave. But in that moment, Jillian, what are you doing to hold him back?
I know what I'm doing. I'm laying seeing as he is not currently in his grave, he is. I'm trying to picture it in my head. So, like, is there room for me to lay down like a salt line around him?
Sure. I mean, that makes sense. You can run forward and lay down a layer of salt, blocking him off.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing.
You lay down the line of salt, and as he is rushing towards Luther, pretty much ignoring you, he hits this line and stops dead, and he yells in frustration, and the sound just kind of barely pierces the veil where you can hear him faintly. Christopher, what are you doing?
Well, I was going to take some of the salt and throw down a circle around him, but it's kind of already covered.
Well, no, it's not, because I just blocked his way towards the grave. You could perhaps use magic with the salt to make a circle to trap it in the circle. I think that's one of the use magic things.
Yeah, trap a specific person, minion, or monster is an effect.
Yeah, I'll complete the circle assault.
Okay, so go ahead and roll plus weird. The effect we are going for is trap a specific person, minion, or monster.
Ooh.
Go ahead and mark experience. That's a
Hey.
5.
That's my first
Unless
experience.
you want to spend luck and make it a 12 instead.
No. This is my first time to get experience. I want it.
Okay, so I think what happens is you run up and you start like laying this circle of salt, and it's something where you are using your magic in order to do this. So maybe it's where you're guiding it with your magic or you're reinforcing it with your magic, but something goes wrong. Frank panics as he sees you're closing the circle around him. And he fights back. And I think the way this works is that the circle is completed, but you are inside, and the spell which is binding him here is also binding you here.
Oops.
So it's Hell in a Cell. Frank is he now that you are stuck here together, his attention is focused on you. What are the rest of you doing?
I come in with the the steel chair. And by that, I mean I'm going to toss Chris my magical dagger. Stab him in the face, boy!
Okay, that sounds like act under pressure to me. So go ahead and roll plus... well, it's sharp now, isn't it?
Indeed it is. I've read about this. Though it could also be help out.
So let's see, that would give them +1. Yeah, you could do that. You could help him by giving him your dagger. Or you could... I guess, what is the effect of the dagger? It would just be...
to harm hand magic. So it's basically a magical weapon.
Gotcha. Well, that's up to you.
I'll go with act under pressure.
Okay.
I just wanted to make sure that you didn't think help out was more appropriate.
Yeah, I think this is you are giving him something rather than like supporting him in something, so that works for me. So that's an 11. You do what you set out to do. Yeah, you toss him the dagger, and it looks like when it hits this line of salt, it almost seems too slow for a second, but the magical nature of the dagger allows it to pass through. Christopher, you now have a dagger.
Yay! I'm gonna die.
Well, I'm gonna keep digging up bones.
Yeah, I'm gonna grab the other shovel and help dig up the damn bones as fast as I possibly can.
Yeah, so I think this could go a couple of different ways. Typically bodies are buried pretty deep. I think, you know what, we've rolled a lot. I think it's okay. I think with the both of you hammering on it, you are making progress fast. So you are both digging up. I'd say you're a couple feet in. While you're doing this, the Frank, the spirit who is kind of looming over Christopher, reaches out and misses and goes for another grab. Christopher, what do you do?
I have a nice dagger, right?
Mm-hmm.
Stabby, 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 stab.
Okay, sounds like kick some ass. So go ahead and roll plus weird.
Dear God.
That is a 7, so that is a mixed success. You inflict harm to each other, and that is it. So you are going to take 2 harm.
Ow.
Okay. I think what happens here is Frank reaches out to you again, Chris, and this time he actually manages to take hold of you. As his arms wrap around you, the black energy, which kind of comprises his form, begins to build up and flow along his arms, and it actually starts to seep into you. But
as you stab down into the spectral form of Frank, you see that the dagger actually takes hold and gets purchase, as if Frank was like a living and breathing person and had a body. And as you cut along his form, you see light begins to seep from his like dark blackened form, as his spiritual energy kind of starts gushing out. Awesome. What are the rest of you doing?
I'm going to see if I can heal Chris through this barrier with magic. Keep him fighting.
Go ahead and roll plus weird for the effect of heal when harm. That is a 12. So yes, it works without effect. Chris, you heal 1.
as Leopold's magic reinforces you and like your will, which helps resist against this taint of Frank, and any of the darkness which had kind of spread into you is removed.
I think at this point, Ranger Frida kind of snaps out of her stupor as she's looking at all of you. And she grabs a shovel and immediately begins helping dig. I think with the 3 of you, as Christopher and Frank are fighting, it's not long before Luther, you feel a thunk of your shovel as it hits something hard below.
Oh, cool. I'm going to take my shovel and pop that sucker open.
Okay. Go ahead and roll plus cool as you try to muscle this bad boy open.
Well, I never get to roll tough.
That is a 9. Hard choice, worse outcome, or price to pay. So I think that you're going to get a worse outcome. I think what happens is you take your shovel and you jam it down below, and you lift up on the lid. But in order to get leverage, you have to kind of like brace yourself. And in the process of swinging your elbow back, you hit the line of salt and it breaks.
Oops.
But the coffin is open before you. As the line of salt breaks, Frank, who's been kind of grappling and feinting at Chris, immediately looks over behind his shoulder and streams out and leaps straight
Salt
for
and fire.
Jillian, who has gas and salt in hand. So Jillian, go ahead and roll act under pressure plus cool to light this baby up as the spirit is charging down on you. That is a 9. So I think there's going to be a price to pay. So I think what's happening here is you are kind of fumbling with the salt and gasoline, and you manage to throw down the salt and throw down the gas as Frida and Luther leap out of the pit, and you also climb out, and you're kind of trying to light it with like a lighter or something, and you're having trouble getting it to light as Frank is bearing down on you, and it's right as he hits you that you manage to light it, and you throw it into the pit. So you're going to take 1 point of harm as he just barely grazes you before immediately starting to writhe. And you see as the fire in...
I'm sorry, is that 1 point of harm before or after my immortal?
You know what? You've got immortal. So he touches you, and you can see he's trying to, like, life drain you and hurt you. Yeah, exactly. He scuffs up your cool-ass leathers. So yeah, as the fire in this grave grows, you can see the form of Frank. Spectral flames begin to grow around him, and he screams as he also winks out of existence. And it's something where there's a few moments of quiet as this scream kind of echoes through the streets, and then like dogs start barking and stuff like that.
I'm gonna collapse backwards. I'm
Nope.
too old for
It's
this.
time to go home. Let's go home. I'm climbing out of the hole and offering my dad a hand.
Yeah, he'll take it, and he'll just grumble about being too old for this, and
Okay, I think at this point, Frida will kind of take a step back and wipe her brow and throw her empty gas can to the ground. So is it over?
oh, hopefully, yeah.
In theory.
That's about as thorough as we could be.
You should make sure some medics get to City Hall.
What happened at City Hall?
I saw something when I was trying to use my abilities. It seems like he had gone after the mayor before he came here.
And you see she grows a little pale at that, and she's like, "Oh shit. Okay, I got a radio in the truck. Hold on. Listen, I'm sure y'all are gonna disappear as soon as I turn my back. Do you have a phone number or an email, or I don't know, like a instant messenger? Is that still a thing? I can reach out to you if this thing comes back."
Luther will give her his number. If you need us, call us.
Okay. I'll keep a lookout. I'm gonna get to City Hall, and she runs over to her truck after she would give you her number as well. And she pulls out a radio before spinning out, burning rubber, driving out towards the direction of Town Hall.
I think now it's time for us to collect our shit and go the fuck home.
Yeah, if my truck will work.
I'm sure we can get a tow.
We'll get a tow, and we'll get our stuff collected, and we will vamonos before people want to ask questions start showing up.
Okay.
Yup.
So I think that is all easily enough done. You will make your exit with a cab, we'll say, back home. It's probably expensive because it was like an hour drive. But we can wrap it up here. You get your Tucktrode back, and I think in the downtime between mysteries, you can get it repaired. So that leads us to the end of the session, where we get to ask questions in order to get experience. Let's see. So, did you guys conclude the current mystery?
It appears so, yes.
It does appear so, yes.
I'd like to think so.
I would agree. Did you save someone from certain death or worse?
At least one, yes.
Yeah.
Possibly condemned a few others, but that's not the
Listen,
question.
just because I killed somebody doesn't take away from the fact
Whoa.
that I helped saved other people.
We saved Frida. Presumably we saved the mayor, even though she got, like, fucking eaten later. And we saved that one dude in the car.
Exactly.
Oh yeah, we totally saved Car Guy.
We one saved people.
I mean, that's a positive. It puts you on the board. Did we learn something new and important about the world?
Ghosts suck.
Ghosts are real. Ghosts are bad.
Out of character, we did learn that there is a potentially bigger villain behind this that we haven't discovered yet.
Yeah, and it's your fault.
What? I mean, yeah.
I'd
Yeah,
agree
alright.
with all that.
Yeah, Dr. Kaltenstein.
Professor Dr.
Am I
Coltonstein.
supposed to be marking one experience for each of these?
No, we'll get there in a second.
Okay, good.
There's actual calculations. I would also say you learned about the effectiveness, like the uses and properties of salt, as well as the fact that you can burn bodies to forcibly remove ghosts. I'd say that also counts as learning something new.
Oh, and that animals can leave ghosts.
Yeah, take that, old popes.
Suck it, humanocentrism.
Yeah. Score 1 for PETA?
Logan, I know it's meant for animal things, but you saying that just brings more Cthulian problems to mind.
What? No. Suck it, humanocentrism.
Okay, and last but not least, did we learn something new and important about one of the hunters?
I can bleed a lot.
Jillian kills people.
I kill people.
I think that
I didn't learn that, okay?
Yeah, but we as a table
Nope,
did.
table did.
Yeah, I think that 100% counts. The fact that Jillian is apparently actively feeding on any given day and has no problems about chowing down and disposing of the evidence. I think that super counts.
So, question.
Mm-hmm.
Are we doing it just for this overarching 2 games, or are we getting XP for both last session and this one?
So my understanding of the way it works, it is per mystery, so it's the last 2 sessions together.
Okay.
So you got all 4, which is great. So you can all mark 2 experience.
Sweet. That is one improvement for me.
Okay, so here's the question. If I had 4 experience, what happens?
I think you level up at 5, right?
Yeah, does the other one carry over?
I can't imagine any reason it wouldn't.
It's my understanding it does.
Okay, so I level up and I have 1 bonus experience.
I'm at 3.
Fuck up more rolls, I guess.
Yeah,
Or get us to convince you of things in character and get XP from that.
That's what happened all last game. Is like every other roll, you guys were like, oop, 6, oop, 5, oop, 2.
I rolled
and I'm
2
just-
6s this game.
I didn't roll bad.
Do you want me to roll a manipulation to stop banging my daughter? Take my advice.
Then you roll a 6, and then you
Ew.
don't take the advice, and you both get XP.
Exactly what happened.
Okay. Hey, Chris here, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us on the Lonely Roads for our first mystery. For sure, it was a ton of fun to record and edit down. I think our next mystery here is going to start in about a week. So I hope you'll join us again. I did want to give another shout out to Gulex, who wrote today's adventure, Grumpy Bear. It is available for free at DriveThru RPG. As always, the link will be in the description of the episode here. And again, thanks everyone. It's super fun to do this, so definitely, I guess this is where I say like and subscribe and tell your friends and all that. There's definitely been more traction than I expected out of the gate, which is super awesome. If you are feeling up for it, leave a rating and a comment on iTunes. That helps feed the algorithm and helps us out, especially for these initial couple of episodes. So I will talk to you all next time.